Hello everyone. In this video we will be talking about class variable in Python. So previously we learned about instance variables, right? Instance variable are variables that are attached to an instance, and every instance is derived from a class, but it is supposed to be somewhat unique, right? So instance variables, the values of instance variables are somewhat unique, but in case when we want all other instances to share some sort of similar properties or values, we prefer to use class variable, and we will see it in action. So here you can see that I have a inefficient user class defined and we have init function, right? So whenever we are going to create an object, for example u1 out of this inefficient user, this init function will be executed, right? And this Shamil would be assigned as a username in this case, and Ahmad would be assigned as a username in this case. But you can see that max login attempts and password minimum lengths, this is supposed to be a unique value, but it is supposed to be shared across all instances. Here in this case we are defining it manually, right? But we don't have to do it. This is the kind of a problem that a class variable helps us resolve. As you can see that if I want to change max login attempts for u1 or u2, I'll have to do it manually. But if I had only a class variable, I would have to do it only just once, right? And I'll just show it to you over here, right? Now you can see that I have this class user over here, and if I want to define class variables, I will have to do it outside of any function. As you can see, I have a class defined over here, and these all are my class variables. And this particular variable which is attached to self, this is an instance variable, right? Which is inside init. So let me go through this code particularly over here, where we are actually creating our object. So let me go to the debugger and hit this, and I'll just turn this one off. Okay, so in the debugger, let me open this one again. You can see that I have u1 and u2 defined, which are above over here, but we will be focusing on user1 and user2. I'll hit over here this, and now we are init function. So whenever we are creating an object, this init function would be called once. Now you can see that username is Shamil, right, which is this, but self dot username is not defined, right? But what you can see over here, when I open self, these three things are defined by default. I'll also put this debugger over here again, and just to show it to you what happens when we create user2 as well. So if I hit enter over here like this, you can see that we will have a user1 created, and user1 has a username which is unique, but max login attempts, password minimum length, and system name, this is particularly shared, right? So if I go inside user2, how user2 is going to be created, I'll just go inside over here, and here you can see that self.username is now going to be saved as Ahmad. But if I open self over here, these class variables are going to be shared again. I don't have to define these variables again and again on every instance creation, right? So if I hit enter again, you can see that this is particularly created, right? So this is how actually a class variable differs from instance variable, because instance variable is supposed to contain a value which is going to be unique across instances, but class variable is going to contain a value that is going to be shared across all of the instances. So that is the main difference between class and instance variable. One more thing that you need to notice, and you can see in the code as well, we have two ways to define or to access or to see the value of a class variable. One is directly through the instance, another one is to directly through the class. So you can see that I have this user.system name, right? This is one way to see the system name, and user1.system name, this is another way to see the system name or any other class variable. For example, you have a class over here, you can see user, right? You can check user.system name or user1.system name or user2.system name. This is exactly the same thing, right? But in instance variable, whenever you want to access instance variable, you only have to use an instance. So you don't get the choice in seeing the instance variable. But in class variable, it's up to you whether you want to use class variable name or instance.class variable name. It's up to you. But generally we prefer to use a class.variable name in case if the value is actually shared across all of the across all of the instances. So that is one more thing that you needed to notice in this one. So thank you for watching this one.